Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday morning worship service from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of York. I'm Julie Amberg, and I'll be helping out with the service today. Today's service is a milestone in the life of our congregation. Along with the rest of the country, we're slowly emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic, and so I'm delighted to welcome members of our choir, as well as a few members and friends of the congregation back into the sanctuary. Of course, we're also simultaneously broadcasting to those of you at home and elsewhere. I'm just, if I sound a little giddy, I'm so happy to see warm bodies in front of me here. And I do just want to take a moment to thank all of those who have put on our virtual services for the last 15 months. The Reverend Terry Cummings, our senior minister, the wonderful staff, our amazing tech crew, the choir, and everybody else who has contributed to these services. You really are the glue that has held our community together. So deep gratitude and thanks to all of you. Our mission here at UUCY is to be a transformational faith community that serves the religious and spiritual needs of a wide and diverse group of people, a community that earns recognition as a leader in the work of social justice and guides our children to become more engaged global citizens. As is customary, whenever Unitarian Universalists gather together, we begin by lighting a candle in our chalice. Our candle flame represents the flaming chalice that is the symbol of the living tradition of our faith. We also invite everyone at home to light a candle as we share our chalice lighting words. Our chalice lighting words today are by Reverend Lois E. Van Leer. We light this chalice not because we must, but because we may. We light this chalice not because we have the truth, but because we each come bearing and seeking many truths. We light this chalice in connection across culture, distance, class, and language. We light this chalice that our religion may be a beacon of light, hope, and justice. We light this chalice to light our hearts and our minds.
Welcome, welcome. My name is Reverend Terry Cummings. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am the minister of this congregation. Wow, this is just so amazing. Usually on Sunday mornings when we're preparing for worship, it's me and Doug and a couple of other people, and we sort of say what we want to say and we behave ourselves not. This morning was like it was like we're back in worship again. It is so great. I am completely gobsmacked. And I'm so grateful to Gretchen and Robert and Doug and all the people who helped to arrange the technology so that we could have a multi-platform worship service where folks can be here and also at home. This is so great. I want to tell you, I'm feeling amazing, and I just am so happy. That said, let us transition into an hour of worship. A better word for worship for me is the word reverence. I'm going to invite you to join me in a moment of prayer, meditation, as we transform ourselves from the giddiness of the world around, the joy of being together, and transform that joy into a spiritual experience for the next hour. Would you pray with me? I invite you to breathe deeply. Center yourselves. Pay attention to your breathing without judgment. Let go of the distractions from outside. Look for the place inside you that connects with the holy, however you find the holy to be. Spirit of life and love that moves between us, that is inside each and every one of us. We're gathered here today to explore where we are as a worship community, where we are with technology and the new normal that has yet to be fully unfolded. We are gathered to see how far we've come since the great pandemic uprooted our lives and took the lives of so many. We're gathered this morning in joy and gratitude for the work that Doug and Gretchen and Robert have done these past months to bring us worship on Sundays. We're gathered in community, witnessing to the unfolding mystery of life. We ask that you help those of us who are experiencing loneliness and isolation to find connection. Help those who are sick in body or mind to find healing. Great Spirit, we ask that you love us into courage. Love us into being. I'm going to invite those who are here just to sing a few bars of song with me. Sing with me. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. 2 more times. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. And now let us take 3 final breaths. Breathe deeply. Breathe in existence. Breathe out community. Breathe in responsibility. Breathe out truth. Breathe in love. Breathe out love. open our eyes, and please join in singing our opening hymn with our choir. That's why you're all guinea pigs. Our story for all ages today is called The Great San Antonio Rail Crash. Which I've lost. The ghosts of San Antonio's train tracks. If you're ever in southwest Texas, you might consider driving a little further south, just south of San Antonio, near the San Juan Mission. You'll find the intersection of Villamain and Shane Streets. It's there, right on Shane Road, where the haunted railroad tracks lay. Decades ago, in the late 1930s or 1940s, on an especially dark evening, a nun was driving a school bus filled with children home from a field trip. They were approaching a railroad crossing. I'm not used to sitting in this chair. They were approaching a railroad crossing, and the bus abruptly stalled on the tracks. Most of the students were sleeping, so she was quietly attempting to start the engine back up again. It was then that a train emerged, seemingly out of nowhere, as its headlamp was burnt out. It offered no warning of its impending arrival. It was too late to evacuate the children as the train was moving too fast. The nun desperately and frantically turned the key, making one last attempt to restart the bus just as the train smashed through the bus, cutting it in half. The nun was thrown through the windshield but miraculously survived. The young children was not as fortunate. They were all killed instantly. A few weeks later, the nun, guilt-ridden and heartbroken, returned to the site of the accident. She was unable to continue on and thus decided to end her life. She parked her car on the tracks and sat there waiting for the next train to come along. Later, when a train came into sight, speeding down toward her in the same way as that tragic night, the nun began to hear small, familiar voices. Then her car began to move forward as if it was being pushed from behind. The nun's car was rolled to safety just as the train roared by. In disbelief, the nun got out of her car and began looking around, expecting to find a Good Samaritan. She saw not a single soul. She looked back at her car and noticed children-sized handprints on the back of her trunk. It was then she realized that the ghosts of her students had saved her life. The nun was then blessed with a newfound purpose in life, and she opened a school for orphans. She taught there till the day she died. It is said that to this day, if anyone parks their car on or near the railroad tracks at Shane Road, ghostly children will push the vehicle to safety as they determine to make sure that no one meets the same fate that they suffered.
We come now to that moment in our service when we ask you to make a financial contribution to our church. Your generosity helps to defray UUCY's operating expenses and also helps out organizations in our community that are engaged in work that is in keeping with our Unitarian Universalist principles and values. Our Share the Plate partner during the month of April is Our Daily Bread. Our Daily Bread is a soup kitchen in downtown York that serves breakfast and lunch free of charge Monday through Friday to anyone who walks in.
Let go, let go, let go.
Thank you, choir. Our reading today is from a collection of essays entitled Bless the Imperfect, edited by Reverend Kathleen Montgomery. Our essay is called Messy and Beloved Community, written by Layla Ibrahim. I've been going to the same church for a very long time. For nearly 30 years, most Sundays, I've walked through our beautiful redwood doors. In all those years, I've filled a variety of leadership positions, from owl teacher to board president, usher coordinator to stewardship co-chair. And in all those years, my congregation has had ample opportunity to disappoint me. I'm disappointed when people don't think my justice project is the one we should collectively work on. I'm disappointed when people want different music than I do. I'm disappointed that we don't all agree that our children's ministry is the most important priority in the church. I'm disappointed that people don't give enough time, talent, or treasure to the church as I do. I'm disappointed, well, you get the idea. In nearly 30 years of relationship, but there have been a lot of disappointments. 2 or 3 times over the years, I've been so disappointed that I've seriously questioned remaining in my congregation. I've wondered if church is actually real. I've doubted its ability to provide the salvation of which we speak, that is, lived, beloved community. And on those occasions, I've thought, oh, to heck with it. I could just stop going to church for a while, or maybe forever. But staying away has never helped me through such times. Rather, coming in closer, telling people about my spiritual crisis, listening, sharing, caring, and worshiping have helped me to know that this is where I belong, even when church is the source of my frustration and disappointment. Because we're not in a church to be with people who want to sing the same music, or rally for the same cause, or attend the same retreats. We're in church to learn to love better. And learning to love better can only happen when we love past our disappointments and return to a place of acceptance and affirmation. This is true in our personal lives, in our work lives, and in our church lives. And it's a deep spiritual practice. At my best, as a religious person, as a Unitarian Universalist, as a member of the First Unitarian Church of Oakland, I'm called to love whoever walks through these doors. I don't need to like everyone. Not everyone is who I would choose for a friend. Not everyone agrees about what we're here to do. But if I'm living up to my best values, I offer care and respect and commitment to each member, friend, and guest who comes into my beloved community. In the end, we can all try our best to live out our faith as Unitarian Universalists through study, conversation, service, and commitment. We forgive ourselves and we forgive others as we stumble through. We disagree, we annoy, we flake out on one another. And we worship, we support, we hold, and we affirm one another. There's really only one choice between imperfect community and no community. Again and again, we are all called to choose to commit ourselves to building a more just, more diverse, and yet ever messy and imperfect beloved community. Thus ends our reading.
Thanks so much, Gretchen. A reading from the Hebrew Bible, Psalm number 126, A Harvest of Joy. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongue with shouts of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us, and we rejoiced. Restore our fortunes, O Lord, like the watercourses in the Negev. May those who sow in tears reap with shouts of joy. Those who go out weeping, bearing the seed for sowing, shall come home with shouts of joy, carrying their sheaves. After more than a year of social distancing, wearing face masks, homeschooling children, living in fear of our lives and our livelihoods, today, like the ancient Israelites who were released from captivity, there is hope that our fortunes have been restored. I leave it to you to decide whether our deliverance was the result of divine intervention, science, dumb luck, or something else. Regardless, we have hope that our mouths may soon be filled with laughter, hope that our tongues may soon be filled with shouts of joy, hope that we will rejoice once more. It's almost dreamlike to be returning to a semblance of normal, sharing this sanctuary space together with members of our choir singing, Gretchen playing the piano for us again so well. But that dreamlike quality of relief and good news can sometimes obscure real pain. The reality that getting back to normal is going to be more difficult than we think. Not just because of all the steps that still need to be taken, like more people being vaccinated, but because we haven't had the time to process the trauma of the last year and a half, haven't had the space to come to terms with the grief of losing so many things, so many people. And besides, we aren't just dealing with the shock of what happened to us over the last year. We're having to respond almost daily to the shock of the now, the present dangers and challenges that are facing us from the ongoing pandemic, among other things. It's easy to think that everything will be back to normal as if nothing had happened now that the CDC has said it's okay to stop wearing masks if you've been vaccinated. But we must give ourselves and each other some time because we need to. Our service today is less the beginning of a new chapter in the life of this congregation than it is the beginning of a whole new book as the last one comes to a close. For the way we and just about every other denomination in the country does church has forever been changed. From now on, we will almost always bring you Sunday services both online and in person. Our music and our sound will be more diverse than ever before as we explore what the internet has to offer, what technology can bring us. Our reliance on technology is here to stay, with the benefits as well as the trade-offs and limitations that brings. Last year on Easter Sunday, I shared this with you. I don't like to quote myself. I know that's bad form, but I went back and looked and saw what I said to you a year ago, right on Easter Sunday, and I said this. During these times of social distancing, I've had an image in my mind of a railroad crossing with the gate down, lights flashing, warning all the approaching vehicles to stop and wait for a train to pass. When I lived in suburban New Jersey, I would have to stop the trains carrying commuters into New York City very frequently. You can hear the warning bells from half a mile away as the gate comes down. You come to a stop and you wait, sometimes for what seems like a long time, as other vehicles come to stop behind you. Big red lights flashing by the crossing, and the bells keep ringing all the while that the gate is down. I've been feeling lately that our lives are like that these days, stopped at the railroad track, waiting for the train to pass. Perhaps I'm cynical, But I can't help but think that the urgency of big business to get up and running again is being driven in part by the desire to put profit before people, power before principle, especially when our economy treats people as if they are a fungible commodity. After all, it's mostly the poor people who are dying, and there's plenty more where they came from. I think we're all quietly waiting for the gate to be raised after the train has passed, for life to begin again as normal. After the train passes, the big red lights will stop flashing, the loud bells will stop ringing, and in the newfound quiet, the gate will be lifted up. Will we all speed off in a race, fastest over the track, to reach the top of the economic mountain wins? What if instead of all of us beginning the race anew, we can instead find ways to join hands and all cross the tracks together at the same time, making sure that no one gets left behind. 13 months later, the gate is lifting. We're restarting our engines. The whistle of the train is sounding off in the distance as the caboose of the pandemic passes before our eyes. Can you hear the sound of the train whistle? Growing fainter and fainter till silence descends. Let those who seek power and profit do what they need to do. UUCY must follow its own journey. It is time now for this congregation, your congregation, to cross over the tracks and proceed on your journey. I like to think that if you get stalled, some invisible hands will gently push you to safety before another train approaches. The hands of covenant, the hands of compassion, the hands of radical welcome, the hands of love and joy and commitment, then the soft, gentle, firm hands of the Spirit of life. I personally don't believe that the promised land lies on the other side of the tracks, although I have to confess this last year or so I felt just a little bit like Moses, leading you through the desert as your minister. And I'm reminded that Moses never did reach the promised land. God punished Moses and killed Moses. And it was Joshua who led the Israelites across the Jordan River. No, the other side of the track is not the promised land for this congregation, but instead a journey through the messy work of shared ministry in an imperfect world full of imperfect people, to which I say, God bless the imperfect, for they are all of us. In our reading today, we heard about how the imperfections of a congregation like this one can make it tempting to leave. Things can happen that make us want to leave, and I know that some of you have even wanted to leave this church during my ministry here, because things don't always unfold the way we think that they will. The new normal, after we cross over the tracks when the pandemic is over, is not the promise that everything will be perfect. In fact, imperfection is probably the one thing that the new normal will have in common with the old. We will have ample opportunity to disappoint one another. Our proposed projects won't receive the support we feel they deserve. We won't always like the music. The RE program won't be perfect. Our pledge drive will come up short. There won't be enough volunteers. Some of us will question why we remain with the church. But staying away will not help us during times of stress and disappointment. For my part, I hope that people will feel that this is where they belong, even when UUCY is a source of disappointment and frustration. because we're not here to be with people who are exactly like us. We're here to learn how to love better. We're here to learn to love past our disappointments and grow into a deeper understanding of what it means to be alive, to be sentient beings in a beautiful but flawed world. As we begin to reopen our doors and find our way as a community, our community has been changed forever. And we can all try our best to live out our faith as Unitarian Universalists, to do what we can, whenever we can, for as long as we can. Those words of John Wellesley. We can forgive each other and ourselves, and we can hold and support one another after we cross the tracks and move forward. An imperfect community is better than no community, as our reading today reminded us. May it be so. Ashe, blessed be. Amen. Of life.
We invite those at home who light their own chalice candle to extinguish it at this time as we read aloud the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the truth, the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our closing words are a poem by Mary Oliver called Where Does the Temple Begin? Where Does It End? These are the things you can't reach, but you can reach out to them all day long. The wind, the bird flying away, the idea of God. And it can keep you as busy as anything else and happier. The snake slides away, the fish jumps like a little lily, out of the water and back in. The goldfinches sing from the unreachable top of the tree. I look. Morning to night, I am never done with looking. Looking, I mean not just standing around, but standing around as though with your arms open and thinking maybe something will come shining coil of wind, or a few leaves from any old tree. They're all in this too. And now I will tell you the truth. Everything in the world comes at least closer and cordially, like the nibbling, tinsel-eyed fish, the unlooping snake, like goldfinches, little dolls of gold, fluttering around the corner of the sky of God, the blue air. Mary Oliver. Let us cross the railroad tracks now and see what lies ahead. We do so with joy and gratitude, secure in the knowledge that we made it, here in our sanctuary with members present for the first time in months, and with our choir singing, let our tongue rejoice with gladness. Let us shout with joy and gratitude, we made it! May your roots grow deep, may your branches grow wide. We'll see you next week for our Religious Education Sunday. Go in love, go in peace. I love you all so much. Take care.